Now I am actually going to be right back. You can pre-show all our fans.
Okay. Alright. Tree show, pre-show. Oops. Oh man, I can't spell. Whoops, and I hit my mic. Sorry to everybody listening to that.
Alright.
Alright, I think tree show pre-show tweet is sent. Man, I need to wake up. I am in big trouble here.
Yeah, you got a case of the sleepies?
Yeah, I forgot I do have coffee. I have instant coffee. That'll take me 1 minute. Hold on. Did I absolutely just make myself a decaf coffee with whipped cream and cinnamon sugar on top? You darn right. Now I have to get my chair settled.
Now, what exactly is decaf coffee going to do for you when you're sleepy?
Well, decaf has still got some caffeine in it. It was like an instant coffee, so... Wow, it tastes terrible. It needs sugar. Whatever. I'm just gonna pretend like it tastes fine. And, go with it, because I'm not getting up again, because it's already 12:24 and we need to do the show.
It's entirely possible my headset's going to try to die on me.
Oh, no.
It's alright. I can plug it in. I can plug it into a controller if I need to. Or my mic, for that matter.
Yeah. Alright, well. Whenever you ready, I ready.
Maybe I shouldn't take a bite of a Pop-Tart right before doing an intro, huh?
Incredible.
Welcome to A Snugpod Cast, where your host, a fully grown man, eats Pop-Tarts and drinks a glass of milk at night.
You know what? Do you sleep nice? Because if you do...
Sometimes. But that usually happens more the next day when everybody's gone and I can have the room to myself. But anyway. Alright. Hello, welcome to A Snugpod Cast. I am never separate, I think. And I have a co-host. Right?
You think?
I think.
You think you have a co-host? Maybe?
Who are you?
I'm Gone Crazy Back Soon. Nice to meet you, never separate.
Well, welcome to the Snugpod. We have
Thank you.
ESO stuff to talk about. And for those of you who are uninformed and listening to this for some reason, ESO means Elder Scrolls Online. So if you have no clue what that is, you're in the wrong place and should probably go find the other podcast you meant to listen to. But if you are here because you're interested in ESO, or you were going to say...
Oh, I was going to say, or if they don't know what it is and they just want to stay with us, they can do that too. I think we're pretty fun people.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to hang out, but I value your time.
Oh, that's true. That's fair.
So, if you enjoy it, stick around. But, just want you to know what you're getting yourself into. This is a podcast dedicated to a video game. So, we're nerds. Not only do we play them, we stay up and talk about them and put out shows about it. So,
nerds?
Yeah, nerds.
They're a great candy.
Yeah, apparently you can get them in your drinks at Sonic now, too. So.
Whoa.
Yep.
We're not sponsored by Sonic or nerds.
Yeah, no little blue hedgehogs here. But anyway, as I was going to say, we've got ESO stuff to talk about. ESO is now had as many updates as I have. So there's...
Uh-oh, we lost him. Womp, 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 womp. I think his headset died. But what he was saying is ESO's had as many updates as he has. And update 40 is on the horizon. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe it's 40 in cat years. That's what we'll say. 40 in cat years. While I wait for my illustrious co-host to come back. Yeah. I'll talk about...
You'll talk about me behind my back?
Yeah. Welcome back.
Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to... I didn't realize it was going to switch my mic on me when I was plugging my headset into my controller here.
Yes.
So, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. It was just funny because you were there 1 second and the next you were gone.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's supposed to be gone.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Weird. Never.
Yeah. So,
Update 40.
update
You said
40.
it's had as many updates as you.
That's right. That's right. Well, it will when that update actually releases. But um, yeah, we've got a decent bit of stuff to talk about. Some kind of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get to that shortly. But first, what have you been up to?
Um, well, the Undaunted event is happening until tomorrow. So by the time the show posts, it'll be over. But I didn't get to do it every day. There was nothing. I mean, the opal sets were amazing, and I have acquired quite a few of those. But I wasn't like going out of my way to do this event. Um, Mostly just because I've been tired. I've been in in recovery from the crazy work schedule that I talk about every week pretty much. So, vacation is in sight. I'm very excited about that. But in the meantime, I did do a bit of the Undaunted event here and there. Mostly every day, what I've been doing is if I can manage to corral someone with me, and even if I can't, I'll go into Fungal Grotto 1 because that takes me about 10 to 15 minutes just to solo. So I'll just solo it and run through and do everything and get my tickets. Or if I have somebody with me that's also on a DPS that just wants to like blow through it very quickly, just do that for the ticket drop and for the box drop. And yeah, so that's how I've been getting my Undaunted tickets, if you will. I've done a little bit more questing in Necrom slash Apocrypha. I don't want to give any spoilers for that, but I've done quite a few of the like quests that are at the different towers in the Telvanni Peninsula. And those have been really, really cool. And then I did one pretty neat one the other day with Minway Pro in Apocrypha as well. So it's the storyline stuff that they wrote this year is really, really good. I really would encourage everyone to try and quest. I know not there's some people that aren't questers, but it's still been really, really enjoyable. And I've actually kind of enjoyed taking my time and waiting for someone else to do the quests, which has been pretty fun. So, yeah, I hope I get more time. I want to go back and like finish High Isle and all of those things that I've just kind of got hanging out, you know. Other than that, Ritz, trying not to fall asleep, and that's it. I've been hanging out in the Lore Seekers Starfield Discord just a little bit, even though I don't own the game, just to watch the other people that are playing it and stuff. It's been pretty fun. So over there, I'm gone crazy space bacon.
Gone crazy space bacon. That's appropriate.
Yep, yep. So there you go. And that's about all I've been up to. What have you been up to?
Nothing. Yeah, I've gotten on a couple times just to get my login rewards, but outside of that, I don't think I've actually done much. No, I take that back. I did spend a little bit of time trying to get research done on crafting stuff for this for my new character from Arcanist, just in case I do eventually decide to switch to this as my main. That way I can do crafting stuff on that character. Of course, I've got a lot of catching up to do on learning stuff, and I'll still learn it on my other one first, just because I don't want to have to try to keep up with who knows the most, or who knows this particular thing. I'll learn it first on the other, and then duplicates I can learn on this one. But that's about it. I have a whole bunch of the research scrolls saved up because we've gotten several of those over the years, and I'm pretty sure I already had all my crafting stuff done when they started doing that. So I haven't fooled with using them on any of my other alts because it's like, well, probably not going to bother doing much crafting on alts anyway. But I decided with this character that's a possibility, so it's like, hey, let me go ahead and start researching a couple traits, pop a scroll, research a couple traits, pop a scroll. You know.
Nice.
And I didn't get through all of them, but I did knock out a few things here and there. So hopefully it won't take me as long as it did the last time. Because man, doing the grind on learning researching all the traits on armor and stuff is something.
Yeah, it takes a while well, it just takes a while no matter what.
Yeah, and even fully maxed out, I think the final traits are like at least 3 weeks. I think without any points in them.
I think it's like 24 days or
yeah.
it's
I
something
think
like
it's
that.
30 days if you don't have any of the reductions.
Oh, maybe.
But if by that point, if you probably have some points in reducing the time it takes. And I think your ESO plus cuts it down some too, maybe.
Yeah.
So if you have that, that helps. But so I think it may cut it down to 21 or 24 days or something like that. But still, that's a long time to just wait on something to time out.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you have multiple things to learn 9 traits on, and the last, even with all your points, you can only research 3 things at a time. You've got multiple 20-something day periods of time. You just have to wait. And short of using scrolls, I think it's like a bare minimum 6-month process. Pretty close to it.
It feels like it. It's pretty close.
You might be able to get it done faster than that if you just really are intentional about, let's do all of the 6-hour things first, and get those done, and then 12 hours, and if you go through it and just really plan it out, you could probably do it quicker. I don't know, but it still takes a while.
Yeah.
So hopefully using those scrolls will knock some of it out. I'm not too worried about it. It's just a secondary goal, just to get this character able to do that stuff. It's level 21, I think, right now, so it's not like
nice.
not like I'm going to be doing a ton of crafting writs and stuff like that on it for a while anyway. But if nothing else, just being able to do a writ on this character and not have to worry about. Well, I guess I'd still have to know the styles.
You do.
So, long way off. But anyway, that's what I've done in game. Outside of game, I bought new shoes. Needed new shoes.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
Were you still wearing the shoes that I saw you in last time when you came to visit me?
No. Wait. That was a year ago. Like right now. That was a year ago.
Exactly.
So no. I had a pair of shoes that I bought like 4 months ago that just didn't last. I'm hard on shoes.
Last.
Nobody cares about that. You're here for ESO stuff. But
it sounds like you were working on your crafting.
Yeah. I was. I had to get some new boots.
Yeah. That's what you had to do.
My feet armor's all caught up.
Your feet armor.
Yeah.
Your armored feet.
Mm-hmm.
Your armored furry Khajiit feet. You know what? It's funny. It's ironic to me anyway, because Khajiit, their toes always stick out anyway. So I'm like, really, what are you protecting here? Nothing. You're not protecting anything. Your toes are all exposed.
Well, it does depend on what you, which shoes. Like mine aren't right now. But I do often go that route just because I think it's fitting for kitty cat claws to be out and about. Yeah.
I was about to get off into a rabbit hole about how dirty your toes probably are when you're fighting, but I'm not going to. Just let's keep on task.
You should remind me to tell you a funny story about toes later.
Okay. I think I'm scared.
Yeah,
oh boy.
I would be too. But
okay.
it is funny. But I'll share that off air because nobody needs to hear that.
Okay.
Nobody that I don't know well enough to share that kind of thing with.
And that was the last episode they ever listened to.
Yeah. Anyway, if anybody's keeping up, it is just the two of us. Glenn is still out And so if you follow Gwen on the platform formerly known as, or any other places, let her know you miss her. She's not able to be with us for a bit, so. But she is missed. She is definitely missed, and
She is.
it just don't
Yeah.
feel right being in her house without her here.
I know.
I mean, I guess
It's like we broke in.
somebody's got to house sit the book.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
But
she's off still. She wrote being daunted instead of undaunted. She's off being daunted. And also, she left you a little note. She wanted me to ask you about the first time you ran Unhallowed Grave.
yeah,
Do you remember that?
no, no, I don't. And I had hoped that
Amazing.
maybe I would get a response because I did ask her if there was something I was supposed to remember about that. Or maybe that's the joke. Maybe the first experience was terrible and I blocked it from memory. I don't.
I remember us running it, and I remember something happening at the final boss, but I can't remember what it was. I feel like I don't remember. I don't remember. I'd
I
have to
don't.
go back
It would
and
have
look.
that would have been my first time probably running it with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sasquatch probably there with us at that point.
I don't. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I think so. I think it would have been you, me, and Sasquatch and Gwen.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
Uh, so if she gets back to me on that before we're done, uh, I'll share whatever it is I'm supposed to remember. But for now, I suppose we can dive into our news.
I suppose so.
Yeah, there's something in that's not in the article um, that I want to make sure we mention too. But did you get to actually go back and watch the stream?
I only got to watch about a third of it.
Okay.
So I made it right up into the jewelry and the ancient grains situation.
Okay. So
And
you
that's
didn't
where I had to stop,
you
unfortunately.
didn't see all the way until they started the um,
I did
endless archive.
not. I
Okay.
did not. But I did watch a summary video by Skinny
Okay.
Cheeks.
I don't remember if the thing I've got in mind was before or after, but we'll get to that in a minute, or
Okay.
soon. Um, but we can just kind of go through the article for the time being and just touch on that stuff, and then yeah. So we had the update 40 preview, which was Thursday.
Yeah,
Wow, it's already Sunday.
I know.
Monday
Isn't
for
that
some of us.
wild? The day
Gosh.
went by real fast.
Um, so yeah. Well, anyway, we had that preview, and I wasn't able to see all of it live, um, but I played it afterwards and mostly just listened. I didn't watch. I just listened to the stuff about it because I had it on while I was in the car. Can't be watching videos like that. Um, but I just had it playing so I could hear it. And yeah, some cool stuff. Definitely some cool stuff. They showed off, of course, the new activity um, that's coming. That's going to be kind of the big thing. Should we talk about that first, or push that down toward the end?
Um, I think I'd say we just go in order of what it's showing here in the article because then it moves into Endless Archive after that, and that's the second article.
Okay. All right. Cool. Um, yeah. So if you've been having trouble finding people to play with, and you don't like the random dungeon finder, and getting stuck with fake tanks like me, and or you don't want to get stuck with people that are speed running when you want to do the quest, or vice versa. You don't want to have to worry about somebody doing the quest when you just want to,
Speed run.
speed run it. They are introducing a new group finder tool. Um, and it's not just for doing dungeons and things like that. It's going to basically allow you to make custom,
Groups.
yeah, the word I'm looking for is slipping my mind. Do you want to just read the article, or just read what that says there?
Sure. Sure, I'll read it.
Okay.
It says, if you enjoy teaming up with your fellow adventurers, the new Group Finder will allow you to create parties for almost any group activity in ESO. This includes dungeons, arenas, the upcoming Endless Archive, trials, PvP, and more. You can choose to make a listing to find players to fill out your existing group, even when starting solo, or you can search for a group that already exists and wants to do the same content that you do. This new tool also allows you to tune the criteria of your group members. To tune the criteria your group members must meet, including these examples: CP level, whether they use in-game voice chat, their playstyle, or a desired group role composition. So, like, you could basically make a group that says tank and 3 DPS, and that's what you're looking to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And it will you can find people that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you look, they've got a bunch of examples on there. There's like, I'm looking for Balsunner on normal, as I'm looking for a DPS and a healer, and then beat up the hidden boss in Black Drake Villa, just looking for one tank. I want to see the window shatter on any dungeon normal, one tank, one DPS. Looking for more normal Castle Thorn, So it's pretty cool that they've got it set up this way. And it even breaks down into like Battlegrounds, Tales of Tribute, Endeavors, like all sorts of stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a really neat tool.
They even gave examples of like role play or housing tours. So if you're like, hey, I have a cool thing in my house, I'd like to show off, and you can friend me in the game, and I've got some cool crafting stations we may or may not talk about next, that are filled out with all these cool little bonuses, and come check out my house, and can add you as a friend in game. That way you can get to my house at any time, or whatever. And then after we meet up in my house, we can all put on our stick ponies and frolic through all. Oh gosh, the A one. Aradon, yes. We can all frolic through Greenshade. Yeah, I need a vampire bite. Looking for a group of vampires, whatever. So that's pretty cool. It's definitely going to be a nice addition to, not having to only, get stuck with random people who may or may not be able to do the things that you're trying to do. Because we've talked before, I'm not a believer in kind of the elitist mentality that everybody should play the way you want to play. But I also think that there should be ways for people to group up with like-minded people who want to do the same kind of content, and it not just be kind of a crapshoot on what you're going to get. So I think this will be a good addition. Now,
yeah, I do too. I'm a little nervous about how well it's going to work.
That was what I was going to say.
Merely because we've had problems with the Dungeon Finder in the past, so I am a tad nervous about that. But I guess we just wait and see. We see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I guess maybe should give a little hope is that where Group Finder could fail in the process of putting you with somebody, depending on how this works, if it just like sends you the name of someone and then you can invite them to your group manually, maybe it's less room for error there, but I guess the errors could come where your listings just don't actually show up, or who knows. But yeah, hopefully this gets put in and works well, and we don't have to worry too much about lots of Group Finder issues and things like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to see how people use this tool. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how it affects. You used to have all those groups of people standing around in Craglorn and stuff like that, looking for pickup group. Excited about the next one.
I am looking forward to that, for sure. And pardon my silence there. I got booted from the game.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't
So,
even see. I'm sorry.
yep. So hopefully you don't. I can use your audio. But um,
Should be fine for now.
anyway, yeah. So I kind of alluded to it a moment ago when I was talking about the Group Finder tool and being able to use it for housing tours and um, things like that, where maybe you say, "Hey, come check out my useful crafting area," and you can send people to, uh, you know, I guess invite people into your group, and they can come check out your house, um, and then once you've got people in there, you do whatever. But uh, they're bringing out the crafting stations that we've been talking about, and um, so you're going to, and we kind of already knew the way this was going to work. Um, we're getting a crafting station. They're called the Grandmaster crafting stations, and I'll just read this. Update 40 also introduces Grandmaster crafting stations, allowing you to consolidate all your home's attuned crafting stations for a crafting skill line into a single furnishing. If your base of operations is packed full of attuned crafting stations supporting many of ESO's myriad item sets, these new consolidated stations will go a long way to improving the amount of housing slots spent without giving up any of the functionality enjoyed previously. You can acquire Grandmaster crafting stations using RIT vouchers from the Achievement Mediator, Faustina Curio. There will be a consolidated station for blacksmithing, jewelry crafting, clothing, and woodworking. Happy crafting. So, as it said, and they pointed out in the stream too, there's over 300. Um, I don't remember the number of crafted sets available right now. Was it
It
70
was
or 80?
exorbitant.
Um, it's a lot. But there's 4 stations for each of the sets because you have one for each discipline, and you figure up then the amount of sets that there are multiplied by 4. You've got 200, 300 and something um, slots that you have to use in your house to get all of those in there. And every update we get what, 2 or 3 new crafted sets. Let's say every
Yeah,
update, every chapter, and
every chapter, it's like at least a couple.
yeah. So that number is just continuously growing. And for those that are dedicated to having all of those, there's a point where if you're going to put them all in your home, you basically just have to have a big empty house, because even with ESO Plus, the max housing capacity is 700, correct?
Yeah. 500?
I think it's 700 for the biggest homes. Pretty
Oh, I
sure.
thought it was only 5.
Um, because I'm pretty sure the hideaway um, is 700 with
Furnishing limit. Yes, so. Oh, you're right. It is 700.
yeah,
I don't know why I thought it was 500.
yeah.
Maybe that's without plus.
It's half. It's just like
Oh,
your
okay.
bank space. It
Oh, that's
doubles
right.
it.
That's right.
But now maybe the next size down,
Mm-hmm.
because it varies by the size of the house, like the category that it fits into. Um, so yeah, so if you figure you've got 700 housing slots, and there are 300 plus stations, that doesn't leave much room for anything else. And 300 may sound like a lot of things, but by the time you figure trees, bushes, rocks,
Bushes
flowers,
and trees and grass.
and any assistance that you have. And if you want, you know, uh, any other furnishings, I mean, it adds up quickly. You don't realize sometimes just how quickly that stuff adds up until you go to put it in your next item and it says you're full. And you're like, wait, how am I full? I don't remember placing 700 items, but anyway. But the cool thing is, um, and, well, before I get to that, the um, the way these are going to work, you'll buy them from the master writ vendor, and then you place them in your house, and you feed your existing attuned crafting stations into those stations. So there will be, I haven't seen the UI for it yet, but there will be some sort of menu that allows you to select which set you want to craft, all from a single station. Um, Single station per discipline, obviously. I mean, you've got the four. Um, but you pick the set that you want to craft, and you don't have to have, you know, this whole island full of stations. And we haven't seen how much it's going to cost yet either. To my knowledge, I haven't seen that anywhere as far as how many vouchers it's going to take. Um, but they also said that the more that you give it, the more stations that you feed into it. There's going to be thresholds, and the stations are going to apparently change visually, or there's going to be some sort of effect that you start to see. And once you've acquired all of them, it'll have some unique effect. I don't know if that will reset once new sets come out that you don't have, but that's kind of a cool little touch. I think that you're going to notice a difference based on the number of sets you have. Um, anyway, I'll talk
Yeah,
about
I
it in
think
a
that's
little
cool.
more. Go ahead. Yeah, I was gonna say,
No, no,
get
no.
your opinion.
No, no, no. I was gonna say that's it. Sorry, I was also a little distracted because I was turning you up because some people in our stream said that they couldn't hear you very well, so I went and turned you up on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I like the thought of like the combination stations, and I like the thought of them changing how they look based upon, what's put in them and all of that stuff. I think it's going to make a huge difference for guilds to be able to have everything consolidated and just kind of, taking up way less slots. Bless all those people though that to have done all that work before in putting all of those stations alphabetically every time and
Mm-hmm.
moving things around and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's going to be one of those things where I think there's going to be a lot of rejoicing, but also people are going to be like, ugh. And then the fact that you have to use, writ vouchers to get those new stations. I mean, obviously, I think it's worth it, but you will have the few and far between out there that are like, they should just give those to us for free. Meh. I don't necessarily, I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that it's not. You don't have to spend like crowns on it.
Yeah.
If it's in game, cool. Then if you want them, do the work and earn them in game. If they matter enough to you that you would want them for what they do, then you're probably doing crafting stuff anyway. So getting the voucher shouldn't be too big a deal.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not like 1,000 each or something, because
Yeah.
in addition to, unless there's something that they haven't said yet, in addition to buying them and putting your existing stations into them, any
What do you
set
do
you
for
don't,
future?
yeah, you're still going to have to probably buy the smaller ones as well.
The attunables.
hmm So, you're looking at those are 250 a piece.
Right.
So every set's already 1,000 vouchers. Um,
Hmm.
so hopefully they won't be too much, and it'll be something that isn't too much trouble for people to pick up. But um, it's going to make a huge difference in the way people set up their housing areas. And I'm already trying to think, and I don't have all this. I don't have anywhere near all the stations, but we've got quite a few sets in our guild house, and I'm already thinking, how am I going to arrange these? Because I kind of had a space dedicated to, trying to make it look nice and intentional and not just stations thrown on the beach. And,
Right.
so I'm already thinking, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to move? What's going to come out
Right.
to free up space? And where am I going to put these to make them look like they, that's
Makes sense.
yeah. Um, But what I was going to say a minute ago, one of the cool things about this is um, you're going to be able to put all of this stuff into um, even the smallest of homes. So if you don't want to have to fool with decorating huge places, but you wanted to have the room to put things for your guild or just for yourself, but especially even if you've just got like a few friends and a small guild or something, and you wanted to be able to have all of the sets in there, but you're like, gosh, I hate having this huge empty house because I don't have time to decorate it. You could go buy the Snugpod, for
Yep.
example, um, or like was it Twin Arches
Yeah.
is another one that's got a cool. That's one of the first houses I bought actually because it had a cool little outdoor space, and you'd have plenty of room to put everything out there, um, and and decorate the place and make it look nice and still be functional as a guild hall for a smaller guild. I mean, if you were trying to host bigger events, you can't get as many people in those smaller homes at one time.
Right.
But um, just in terms of functionality for having that kind of thing available to your guild, um, yeah, gonna make a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've even given that some thought. The one thing that I'm curious about, are these going to work like a collectible, or are you going to have
Hmm.
to buy?
Buy one for each house.
Yeah, and would you
Oh,
then have
yikes.
to um, learn like attune multiple stations to the same sets? Um, because if you wanted to have stuff set up in multiple houses and switch it up here and there, um, then that would get rather expensive and really annoying. um,
Yeah, I don't know. Will you have to feed it more than one time? I don't know. I feel like it's gonna work the way that like the boxes work. You know, if you put a storage chest
hmm
in
you
one
can get
house, how you
you
can access the same chest in another house, you know?
Yeah, you can get those through vouchers too, right?
Correct. So I feel like it could work
Okay.
similarly to that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Uh, which
Um,
makes me wonder if those are available through vouchers and through the Crown Store. I wonder if these tables will be too.
yeah, I don't know. They might be. I suppose there could be the chance for that, but they only mentioned
Yeah, they
through
did only say the
vouchers.
yeah.
Yeah. Toasted Peanut, I think you weren't here a few minutes ago when we were talking about it. He said, so the stations that are already there, are they converting to multi-use stations? Or is Zoss saying, well, too bad? Basically what it is there's new stations that will be multi-use, and then you're going to feed the old stations to the new ones. What does that mean? Well, it means that you'll, I guess, combine them together, and then it means that those old stations will be new tabs that you can utilize in the new crafting stations. So you'll be able to add, for example, Hunting's Rage, and then there should be a spot where you could, go and select Hunting's Rage once you open up that crafting table,
hmm
is at least my understanding. We haven't seen the UI or anything for it at this point, but that is my understanding of how they hopefully will work.
Yep. Yeah, that would be my assumption, and it's exactly what we've talked about in the past of how that would probably work. Um, when we were talking about this when they first mentioned it, just a simple little tab selection thing at the top, and maybe a search function, because there are so many sets. To have to tab through all of them might take a bit, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be a really really good quality of life change, especially for housing people. I'm sure there are
Yeah.
some people who just like having all of the stations, and it does look
Yeah.
really cool when they're set up nice. It's like, oh man,
It's true.
this is epic. But you eventually will run out of space. If the game stays around long enough, um, just because they've pretty well said, and we've talked about this, that they don't plan to increase the housing limits, and
Right.
so space is definitely going to run out at
At a
some point.
premium.
Yeah, and to be able to free that stuff up is gonna really help out, and it's gonna help
Yeah.
out just in terms of not having to, like you mentioned, constantly rearrange. If you're going to try to keep things in alphabetical order, having to shift everything around,
Yeah.
because that is definitely a chore. Even with the handful that I've got, it's like, oh, I picked up a new set. Shoot, it goes in the middle of those. It's like,
Yeah.
let me spend the next 20 minutes sliding stations around.
Yeah, exactly. And also to answer your question in chat, it says, so you can take the blacksmithing, cloth, jewelry, woodworking, and it will create one table for that style. Sort of, but not really. There are four like master tables, right? Is that what they called them?
Grandmaster crafting stations. Yeah.
Four grandmaster crafting stations. And basically say that you have Hunding's Rage for each of them. You put them into each of them, and then that tab will be available in each of those stations. So it doesn't like make a master Hunding's Rage station. It makes a master cloth station or a master blacksmithing station that you can toggle Hunding's Rage in.
Yeah, or
Does
Ancient
that make
Dragon Guard,
sense?
or
Ancient Dragon Guard, or New Moon, or
New Moon Acolyte, yeah.
yeah, basically any of your, yes, you would still need the table or style, but it would go into the Grandmaster station. And this is, of course, this is my understanding just from watching what little I know of the stream and from what other people have mentioned. We'll get more information on this as, update 40 moves forward and as things come out. But yes, one table will have all applicable inserted styles in it.
Yep.
And that's how you'll be able to access it.
Yep. 4 total stations permanently. You'll never need more than 4 tables.
Yep. And as you change them, they will change. Like as you add more to them, they will change the way that they look and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, that was the big point that they reiterated multiple times. Like, you never need more than 4 stations. Once you have those in your home, assuming that you still have to go out and attune the new stations the same way. If there's a new set that you want to pick up, you go get the attunable stations, go attune them to the set that you want, and then just come back and feed them into your Grandmaster crafting stations.
Right.
And it just stays 4 spots forever. So you literally can get the absolute smallest house available in the game and have however many sets this game ends up with before it fades out into the sunset. But
yeah.
So I mean, if there's 1,000 sets, you'll still only need 4 spaces. So it's definitely definitely cool. Definitely looking forward to being able to go get those. Of course, at the rate that I'm actually doing crafting grids and stuff, it may take me a little while to get them if they come out and they're 1,000 a piece. But cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we think is coming with the crafting tables, at least from what we see here and whatnot. The other thing going along with crafting is jewelry rebalancing. Everybody has always talked about how much of a grind jewelry has been, like a huge grind. I'm going to go ahead and read this word for word here just to make it less confusing, and then I'll go back and clarify a couple things, I think. So it says also included in Update 40 is a rebalance of jewelry crafting to help bring its costs more in line with the game's other crafting disciplines. This includes completely removing jewelry crafting grains and converting them into platings. However, to ensure that the crafting costs line with other crafting types, we've also increased the total boosters needed to upgrade your jewelry too. But don't worry, upgrading your rings and amulets in Update 40 will be easier and cheaper than it is currently. So basically what's happening is, long story short, if you have any grains currently or any platings in your inventory, things like that, the first time you open your inventory, you'll notice that they say ancient grains or ancient platings. And that is them kind of before the conversion. Once you convert and put them into your inventory or your craft bag or whatever, those ancient pieces of each item will then change. The first one is going to be the grains. The grains are going to be like a 1 to 10 situation. And then the go ahead.
1 to 1
1 to
for
1. Sorry,
for
1
the
to 1.
grains. Yeah.
For the grains, it's 1 to 1. The platings, sorry, that's what I meant, will be like a 1 to 10 situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get a lot more of those things in return of them basically getting rid of them. And stuff will stay labeled ancient as long as you don't like move it or pull it out of where it is. But then once you do, it's going to convert to that other stuff. So, how do you feel about that? It's basically going to make blue master writs non-existent. So if you got them, do them.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even. I mean, I guess if you've got them, but at the same time, it's depending on how much the gold ones are going to be worth.
Right.
You might just save materials and wait. I'm not really sure on what the best method for that would be.
It's honestly going to tank the market on PC. It already kind of is starting to make things kind of drop and whatnot in certain things. It's making some things more expensive, some things cheaper. So, yeah.
So
we'll see.
I honestly think this is what it should have been from the start.
Yeah, I do too, but I understand what they were wanting. They were thinking more like end game, you know, like it needs to be a grind to get to where you need to be, because originally jewelry was meant to be end game gear.
Right.
Like, you know, so I kind of see it.
You know, the crafted stuff typically isn't as good as, I mean, you might see a lot of builds using one crafted set,
right.
But a lot of the best pieces are still going to be the ones you have to go out and get, and those pieces are still just as hard to get.
Right.
You know, I never really, you know, when they said on stream that it, you know, they talked about it being an end game thing, and I was like, it's just a crafting discipline. I don't understand. You know, it was so tedious.
Well, do you know? Were you around, or did you play back in the day when like certain weapons didn't count as two hands and stuff like that? Like, do you ever remember that?
Do you mean when like a staff or a bow is not
Yes.
considered two-handed?
Uh-huh.
Or I know that was a thing.
It was. So that
don't
made a
remember-
difference because of jewelry, because we didn't have jewelry and stuff. So like that was a big deal. And then when they went back and added all of that in, it completely changed the layout of how you know, like your gear and everything is set up. It changed the types of how you had to combine everything.
Right. So if you're not familiar, if you're listening to this and maybe you don't fool with crafting, the way that it currently works, pardon me if there's extra noise, I'm trying to move.
No, it's all good.
I should change my setup here. But anyway, so the way that it currently works, if you hear us talk about grains and platings, every other crafting thing currently, as far as your clothing, blacksmithing, and woodworking, when you break down the item, you'll get back the item needed to you'll get back the upgrade materials that you need. You may not always get those, but whenever you do get them, then you get a whole piece. So when it talks about it's going to level this out to where it's the same as the others, to if you have points and everything, to reduce your costs and things on your upgrade materials needed to guarantee 100% improvement and not destroying an item. It's 8 pieces for gold, right? You need 8 gold materials for everything.
Yes, I do believe so.
So, if you have 8 of those, then you have enough. But jewelry, you may or may not ever hardly see the gold grains. But you need 10 gold grains to make 1 gold plating, or any color.
And that's That's why they're so stupid expensive on PC.
Yes, and they're expensive on console too. I don't know what the difference is, but
Well, PC has more money. That's the
um,
difference.
yeah. So I know there's been plenty of times I've gone out looking for materials to upgrade something for a master writ, and the gold materials would be about 80K a piece, um, and you need four of them. That's just for the gold. The purples were running, I think, 40 and 50K a piece,
That's wild.
and you needed three of those. And maybe I'm off on that. It's been a while. Maybe purples were like 25 or 30, but still, I mean, you have to buy three and then four of the gold. You also have to have the blue and the green. Greens aren't as expensive, and blues aren't as expensive because you're going to find green and blue jewelry from lots of sources. But in order to get purple jewelry, you had to be doing um, veteran dungeons or get lucky farming dolmens or something like that. Um, well, there may be other sources, but it was a lot more rare. You just didn't see a lot of purple. Um, and then when you destroy it, you're not guaranteed upgrade materials at all, let alone to see gold come out of those. And it just takes forever. Um, and so now it's going to level out. And it's going to work the same way. You will need 8 gold pieces, like you do on everything else, but you don't have to fool with 10 grains to get 1 gold. So instead of needing 40 of the gold upgrade material, or the grains in order to make the 4, now you're only going to need 8. So it seems like more when you look at it on the crafting menu, but it's definitely less than it is now.
Yeah, I think in the long run it's going to end up being cheaper for people.
Oh yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel that way at the moment, but it will be in the long run.
So have you done any pricing on what stuff is going for now?
I haven't actually looked in the last few days since the announcement because I've been pretty busy since it was announced. But I did see someone post something about it and kind of how some things were already tanking out and other things were just kind of staying, like going steadily climbing because of it, because people are trying to buy up stuff. So um, yeah, I haven't checked, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I wondered how that would affect everything with it. Uh, how people were going to go out and really start trying to hunt that stuff down now, just to
Yeah.
hold on to it.
Yeah, there's definitely some people that are doing those things, but I don't know how hard it's hit everything yet.
Hmm.
Yeah, Peanut says grains are stupid expensive. Indeed, they are. Um, the Another thing that's nice that they've gone back and looked at, which I'm kind of excited to see how they change this. They are changing the quest XP and gold standardization. So, like, you know how you would do like a giant quest and someone's like, "Here, take all I have," and it's like 53 gold.
Yeah.
It's like something ridiculous.
Hmm.
It seems like they're trying to work on that a little bit. So it says they did a broad audit and standardization of the XP and gold rewards for many of the game's quests, which includes quests and quest lines associated with the zones, main storyline, prologue, dailies, guild storyline, and more. So now you'll receive more consistent rewards for the game's various quests based on their complexity or length. In addition, quest rewards for the Mages Guild, Fighters Guild, and Undaunted have received a general boost. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, these guilds that you would think they would probably be somewhat wealthy. They're being hired to do all of these things and consulted for everything, and every time there's a problem, they're the ones brought in to try to fix it, except for us. Um, but you think they'd have plenty of money, but then they send you on something that takes you all this time to do and run it all over the world, and it's like, cool, here's 200 gold. Like, wait a minute. What do you mean? I just saved Tamriel from dark anchors for the last 4 hours. So, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the numbers.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that realigns. Sorry, I was taking a drink, so I had muted for a
Sorry.
second. And that's basically all they've put so far in this Update 40 improvement article. Update 40 is set to arrive on October 30th for PC, Mac, and November 14th for Xbox and PlayStation. Now, with that being said, tomorrow it pops onto the PTS. So once people get their hands on it, all bets are off. We're going to see what actually happens.
Well, we did actually not talk about one thing, but we're going to talk about that next.
That's true. And the reason I didn't talk about it is because it wasn't in that article.
Right. But before we get to that, I said I couldn't remember when it was mentioned, but did you happen to catch anything in what you got to see or hear of the stream that is something we talked about a while back on the show that's going to be coming finally?
The Endless Archive?
No,
What?
no. Pumpkins.
Pumpkins?
Hmm.
What?
So, they didn't elaborate a ton on it. They just kind of mentioned it, and they showed a screenshot. I didn't get a good look at it because, again, it was playing while I was in the car. They said that somebody actually captured it because it might have been on PTS, if I remember correctly.
PTS isn't out yet, though.
Not for Update 40, but they were testing. I think they were testing this specifically. Because I don't know that it's even part of Update 40 per se. It might be its own thing, but we talked on our show a while back about how some games change the world for holidays,
Yeah.
and how we don't really see that. I mean, there's like depending on the event, you might have like the people running around doing the thing in the streets, whatever, cheering and whatnot, but you don't see like decorations and stuff as much. But they are going to be bringing like holiday themed decorations into the cities and stuff like that. So
I did not see that.
yeah, it was sort of just briefly mentioned. But if you can go back and watch the stream. I don't remember if it was before or after the Endless Archive stuff. But if it was after, just skip through that and you'll see it. But if you just watch up through there to when that starts, if you haven't seen it yet, you skip to the end. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It's not a huge thing, but it's just something that we had talked about on our show once before, at least once before. And when they mentioned it, I was like, hey, cool, they're actually going to do that. That's fun.
Yeah, I like the thought of that. I think it always makes you more immersed in the game, and it makes the world feel lived in and real.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
So
Very cool.
go back and listen to our old episodes, and you'll see that you heard it here first. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so then the next thing we've got is we're going to talk about this forever, actually. So we're not going to stop. It's endless, right?
It's endless. But hopefully our show isn't endless. So the new PvE activity that's coming to the game is called Endless Archive. So this is something that was announced back at Vegas, but they didn't have a name for it. Or, well, I'm sure they did, but they didn't give us the name for it, I don't believe then. So it's this new PvE challenge. It's basically a dungeon-like activity. So you can run it either solo, or you can team up with another player or a companion. And basically, it's just these endless waves of exploration and enemies. So it says, of all the infinite libraries of Hermaeus Mora's realm, the Archive is one of Apocrypha's most mysterious secrets. However, malevolent Daedra now threatens to corrupt everything collected within its myriad halls, and Master Malcast, its custodian, needs your help confronting this strange new foe. So this is going to be part of... Here's the big thing about this. This is going to be base game.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, They could have charged for this. They could have released this as a DLC arena pack, and they didn't. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
You'll be able to enter the Endless Archive from anywhere in the game, or the physical entrance in Apocrypha if you have the Necrom chapter.
Yeah,
So,
they definitely could have, at the very least, attached it to the chapter,
hmm
where you had to at least own this chapter. Maybe not have it be its own separate
right.
purchase, um, but for them to just make this available to everybody, um, that's cool.
That's pretty good stuff.
Now, the obvious reason for that is for player base. Um,
Right. I'm sure.
you know, if only, and I'm just making up numbers, I don't know, but if only 10% of the ESO player base actually has the new chapter and they tied it to the new chapter, it might make it hard for people to get into the activity if they were trying to do it with someone else. Um, and maybe they don't want to try to do it alone. And so it might end up, hurting, you know, reception as far as, people go, well, I can't play it anyway. Um, so doing this just ensures that there's a bigger number of people that have access to help, if they want somebody to run it with. Um, and that way, if you've got friends maybe that don't own the chapter yet and you want to go do this activity, it's something you can do. Um, and as you mentioned, I believe solo or duo. So,
Yes, you can do it solo or duo or with companion.
mm,
So all of those ways are mentioned. And with that new group finder tool, you could put that in there as a pug if you wanted to, which is also cool.
something to keep in mind regarding like achievements and your leaderboards, rather. This will have leaderboards associated with it. I don't know if this is in the article or not. I haven't read through it. Um, but if you're, I just got kicked out of the game again. Um, if you're interested in the leaderboards, they're going to work a little differently than other leaderboard activities. Did you happen to catch any of that yet? Okay. Um, so yeah, if you're interested in leaderboards, the way it's going to work, where other activities were affected by your time, um, this is not going to be affected by time. So there's no benefit in running through it as fast as you can in terms of your leaderboard position. Um, However, there are going to be separate leaderboards for solo and duo completions. Well, not completions per se, but as far as where you get in the how far you get and what your score is, you'll have a leaderboard for solos and duos. Uh, as long as you stay solo, you will be able to do the solo. You'll be that'll put you in the solo leaderboard category. If at any point you bring someone else in to help you, or you pull out a companion, um, then it moves you into duo, and you won't go back. Like you're from that point forward, you're considered a duo for leaderboard runs. So just something to keep in mind as far as that goes. Um, and Yeah, and this activity, if you're familiar, if you're not familiar with a genre called roguelikes, there's roguelike and roguelite. Um, Basically, every run is its own thing. You just try to see how if you can get better than you did the last time. Basically, it's not, and that's not a genre that's my favorite thing necessarily. So I'm not the expert on it by any means, but if you are um, if you go through and you get say to stage 3 and you die, when you go back in, you'll have a completely new randomized experience, um, and it won't be the same thing, so you can't plan specifically for how you're going to approach each time, because it's going to give you different things every time you go back through. It'll throw a different boss at you. It'll start you in a different uh, position, or I don't know exactly how this will work and how in relation to some of those things, but basically every run's going to be different and every run starts new. I think there are some things they said would help you permanently progress, but a lot of the progression resets whenever you die. So I'll read some more of this from the article. Um, This is under Eternal Challenge. In the Endless Archive, you must battle your way through dynamic stages and untold dangers, including monsters and boss encounters drawn from all over Nirn. No two expeditions into the archive will ever be the same, as each stage and encounter is randomly generated. Complete 4 cycles, each comprised of 3 stages and a boss battle, and your fifth boss battle uh, will be against a monster unique to the Endless Archive, thus completing the arc. Of course, after you defeat the corruption at the Archive's heart, your expedition doesn't end there. You can traverse even deeper into more stages, cycles, and arcs, with the difficulty gradually increasing as you do. How deep you delve into the Endless Archive is ultimately up to you. So it's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. There will inevitably come a point where you just can't, you can't win, assuming that they get scaling and all of that stuff down well. Enemies are going to increase in health, increase in how much damage they do. So I would imagine that nobody's going to be able to survive forever. Now, people are going to try and may prove me wrong. I mean, they may be like, this game never kills me. I've been doing this for 14 days. Whatever. But that's kind of the draw to it, is that each run you get to try again, and it's going to give you different buffs as you go through. They're called verses and visions. Verses are temporary buffs that you can select at the end of each stage that last until the end of the next stage. But visions are available at the end of each cycle and provide a boon that lasts for your entire run. So, for example, it gives Flame Aura is a verse that envelops you in fire, damaging nearby enemies, while Crystalline Support is a vision which explodes for frost damage and snares foes. The visions and verses you select as you progress can go a long way to determine how far you can go. Choose wisely. It's crazy says, she might be a bit, might be a few minutes, not at her mic. As you battle your way deeper into the Endless Archive and climb the leaderboards, you can loot and unlock a host of unique rewards not found in any other activity in-game. This includes a broad selection of collectibles, including a mount, pet, cosmetics, and all new class sets. A new and unique type of item set. Class sets buff the abilities for the game's 7 unique classes, providing synergy with specific skill lines. You can collect these powerful new items via loot drops or the Archive's unique vendor. So yeah, we're getting class sets. They showed one. It was a Templar set for, I think, the Dawn's Wrath skill line. I don't remember exactly what it says it does, but to start with, there's going to be one for each class, and they're specific to a specific skill line. So obviously that means that they're going to be bringing more out along at another time. Whether that's going to be in this activity or in something else, don't know. But definitely kind of cool that you're going to have sets that are specific to the class that you're playing, and it'll be interesting to see if that has any effect on build variety. If some of the people that really theory craft that stuff actually think that they're worth using in place of existing sets. Speaking of build variety, that was something they mentioned in the stream, is they want this to be something that you can take various types of builds in and be viable. You can take a tank into Endless Archive, and you'll kill things slower, but if you can survive longer, you may still make it further than somebody that's a glass cannon, who once you get a few stages in just can't take the damage. And that's where they said that your speed's not going to play into your leaderboard. So if you want to go in and play tanky, go in and play tanky. If you want to go in and have a lot of self heals, things like that. Like, you've got a lot of options to play around with, and it's going to be interesting to see, how these class sets may play into some of that stuff. But excuse me, trying to find my place in the article here. So it mentioned that there's a unique vendor that you can go in and get stuff, get some of these item sets from. There's a new currency. It says, in addition to the above items and collectibles, the Endless Archive also awards you with a unique currency called Archival Fortunes. Fortunes can be traded to vendors in the archive's starting area for a host of consumables, class set items, style pages, and most notably, unique buffs for your excursions. These purchasable buffs are permanently active for your future Endless Archive runs. For example, some buffs grant additional vision or burst choices, while others simply increase their power. The more archival fortunes you collect, the more you can empower further expeditions into the archive's ever-changing halls. I believe they said that it's when you start out and you are given the option of versus, you get two choices. And one of these things is saying may give you a third choice. So there's an offense, a defense, and a support, if I remember right. And you'll get two of those as options to start. And if you get this buff that it mentioned, then you would get all three as options. Crazy, you say you're back?
I am. I made it back.
Yay.
Yeah, so I don't know what you talked about, but
I didn't talk. I just sang. Yeah, I was doing my very best kitty cat bard songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I let off with one called Claws in the Dirt.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm very excited about Endless Archive. I can't wait to see how unforgiving it is.
Well, if you haven't seen the stream yet, it apparently starts off fairly easy.
That's good.
They said that the first one, they want everybody to be able to play it some, so that they're not throwing everything at you first stage, because that's not fun.
Right.
But they said they know they could tell it was harder in the second stage, but they still weren't having too much trouble with it. But then it definitely is going to pick up after that. So yeah.
Well, cool.
Is there anything in the article that you read through and see anything you want to talk about?
No, I definitely want to go back and watch the actual live stream, so that I can actually see everything that's in there. I like the thought of selecting the visions and like some of the permanent buffs and things that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to see kind of how that system works. I'm intrigued by that system. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also intrigued by the fact that they said that there's going to be like off the beaten path stuff, like secrets and things that you can find, I think, during the stages, which is a different concept, I think, than some of the other arenas. It aligns more with like a dungeon, like a dungeon crawl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool that they're melding the two things together.
Yeah, they showed some like portals that might pop up that you could go into, and there will be NPCs that have their own quests. One of which, I believe the quest was something like they've been trapped in Apocrypha, and they need to find pages from these different books or something like that. And so as you go through you're trying to do that. Um, and I think you can go back at any time to complete
That's
those
cool.
quests. Yeah, so there's little mini quests. I say mini; they might actually be fairly
Big, we don't know.
substantial. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it sounded like there was just smaller little side quests you could complete in the process. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, and I was touching on like for people not in. Are you familiar with the whole like roguelike genre?
I don't know. Hold on one second. I might have Kid Aggro again.
Oh no! Now I've read through most of the article, so if she's not back soon, I don't know what to say. I might really have to start singing kitty cat songs, and then Gwen's gonna come back and punch me in the nose. um, so the last paragraph in the article, I'll just read that real quick. Says in the Endless Archive, you can discover a new dynamically generated PvE challenge where no two runs are ever the same. Clear stages, cycles, and arcs, and contend with an ever-growing frost. I'm sorry, ever-growing. Oh wow, ever-growing host of dangers as you climb the leaderboards and unlock unique rewards. Are you ready to delve into this all-new activity? Don't forget, as part of Update 40, it's free for all existing ESO players. Um, I don't remember if we talked about this or not. Um, I got distracted because Crazy had to pull away. But um, as far as the different things you're going to fight, the bosses, they said the bosses could come from, uh, I believe they said there were like 60 different bosses. And they come anywhere from dungeon bosses, from even base game dungeons, to quest bosses, and um, everything in between. So um, you may even see world bosses in there. You know, and they did say they're curated in terms of, stage one. There's a selection of bosses that you may see, and in the next stage there's a section of bosses for that. So it is curated on what you're going to see. The list that it pulls from, but 60 different bosses from all throughout the game, and um, mechanics that you've seen, but they did say that um, some of those mechanics would have to be adjusted, obviously, because if you face them in a dungeon, that's a four-person content. I don't know. I think they might have said that there was trial bosses, possibly two, which is 12-person content. So you kind of have to tune things differently when it's content made for one or two people. There are those that maybe can solo or duo some of that stuff, even though it's intended for more. But the activity itself is intended to be 1 to 2 person content, so they can't really make it as hard as the 12-person content would be. Um, but yeah, that's it's going to be interesting to see all the different bosses that you can come across, different combinations of things. They talked about there being a um, like a not a secret boss per se, but um, a random a random encounter. They did say it was there was a point that it was guaranteed to pop up, but there's a particular enemy that pops up that you have to try to kill on your first try, or you will not see it again in that run. And there's special rewards associated with it, which I can't recall off the top of my head. Um, but you, um, if you basically wipe, if it's just you or you and your teammate are both defeated, then it's one and done. You don't get another shot at that particular enemy in that run. Um, so they're doing some cool stuff with, um, with the endless archive, and um, it'll be cool to see if this goes over well. Um, how it affects, how they may do things like this in the future. Crazy's in chat and said excited to see how this will, or excited to see this for guild events. Yeah, I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff, like start at the same time and see, who can last the longest. Of course, the encounters are going to be different for each group, but, um, be kind of fun to play around with and come up with guild activities to do based around it. Um, yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to watch the stream, or to watch, maybe some of the bullet point things that are out on YouTube. Crazy mentioned like Skinny Cheeks has a video out going over everything. I believe I saw one by Hack. So there's other videos out there, but I would recommend just pulling up the stream from the official team and going and kind of checking out what they've done, and I'll have, we'll put all these links and stuff for the articles in our show notes as well. So yeah, Crazy's maybe not going to make it back tonight. Kid Aggro's got her tonight, looks like. So we did have a lore section here to go over some stuff, but we'll hold that, I think, because I'm not sure if my voice is going to hold out if I have to keep talking myself the whole time. But I'll touch on the she says she's not sure. So I'll do our guild announcements real quick, and if she can make it back in before I'm done, then maybe we can touch on that. Otherwise, we can bring it up another time. It fits in with the Undaunted event going on, but that's okay. We don't have to do it just because the event's going on. We can still hold it. But as far as our guild goes, we are lore seekers. If you're looking for a guild, laid back, casual, just friendly guild, you can come hang out with us. I'll tell you how to do that in just a few minutes. But as far as the events that we have going on, we have Mondays with Moki. That's a fishing expeditions and Cyrodiil and sometimes some other things. That's Mondays at. I always feel like I forget this. I don't know why we don't have the times in the show notes. We never put them in there, and I'm always struggling to remember. I think that's probably intentional. They like to see me struggle. But 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, grouping 30 minutes prior, I believe, is time on that. But there's no level requirements or anything for this activity. It's just simply a fun thing to go do and hang out, have some fun. Treacherous Tuesday is our dungeon night. Or dungeon day, I guess. Doesn't have to be night. But we set that day aside, just to encourage people to group up and go run the dungeons. There's a lot of really cool dungeons in this game. And it's some of the best content, in my opinion, is the dungeons. They're, fun encounters, a lot of cool stories. Shipwright's Regret is really cool. If you want kind of an eerie vibe with Halloween coming up, that one's fun. But group up and go jump into a dungeon. You can do lore runs. You can do speed runs, gear farming, hard modes, all that stuff. However it is you want to do it, find some guildies and go do that. And my device keeps shutting off on me here. And then we also have Fearless Friday with Artheria Dragoon. That is an Undaunted event. Undaunted. We are undaunted. Or slightly daunted. Gwen is daunted, she said. And I'm all alone. Crazy said undaunted. Undaunted. But yeah, anyway, it's an Undaunted event. Fridays, group up and go do the the delves, the dungeon dailies, or the the go to the Undaunted Enclave and pick up the dungeons. That's what I was that's what I was doing. But the that's what we have going on in the guild. That's also 8 o'clock Eastern time. So if you want to join the guild, you can head over to loreseekers.club, and there's links for all the stuff there. Tells you how to get into the guild. Just join up. You'll need Discord to do so. We do have this little brief application. And if you want to catch us on social media, you can do at Snugpod Cast on Twitter, formerly known as. You can email us at snugpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on twitch.tv/snugpodcast or search Snugpodcast on YouTube. And you can also listen to us in your podcast apps of choice, searching for us by Snug Podcast. So Crazy's not going to make it back. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there. I'm sure you're loving my lovely voice as it starts to fade on me because I've been talking too long now. So I will go ahead and bid you farewell for the week. And until we get together again, have a good night, have a good week. Take care of yourself, take care of others, and we will see you next time. Sleep well, Tamriel.